So, without further ado, here we are. I'm reading from The Loving Cup, which is the 10th Poldark novel, and this is an excerpt from the second book of Chapter 9, and it is the second part of Chapter 9, and I have chosen this chapter because I find it thoroughly entertaining and very enjoyable indeed, and I hope I do it justice. So, without further ado, just have a glass of water. Valentine Warleggan returned that day. He had spent a few days in London with a friend, but George's annoyance at the delay was solved when he learned that the friend was titled. George said nothing that night, but the following evening before supper he asked Valentine to come to his study to taste a new Canary wine he had recently had shipped in. Valentine went along, thin and lean and bony and tall and slightly knocked in one knee, but vigorous and handsome and sardonic with it. He had made an educated comment or two upon the wine, knowing this as only a preliminary to whatever it was George wanted to talk to him about, and sure enough, they'd hardly finished the second glass before George said, "I had hoped you would have returned for your vacation promptly this summer, because I wanted to announce the engagement." "The engagement?" Valentine peered into his glass. "Your engagement, of course. Your engagement to marry Miss Cuby Trevanion. I had thought we should give a small engagement party on Midsummer's Day, the 24th of June, when this could be formally announced, with notices in the papers including the times to follow. Unfortunately, you have not given us time to arrange this now, so I suggest Sunday, the 17th of July. "Ah, yes," said Valentine. They sipped their wine in silence for a while. "With Cuby's consent?" Valentine asked. "Of course. It was all arranged, as you know, almost 12 months since, but John Trevanion has proved to be such an unreliable fellow, so unscrupulous when he gets his hands on money, that I have twice had to put the date off because I could not be sure he would adhere to his side of the bargain. Of course, it would always be possible to invoke the law, but lawsuits between the nearest relatives of a newly married couple are distasteful and create a bad impression when they get in the press. So I have bided my time and sought to make the agreement even more watertight. This has now been done, and nothing more can be done. I believe that, out of very shame, he will not make any serious attempt to evade the conditions of the marriage settlement. In any event, the delay has been timely. You are now well past your 20th birthday. Cuby is 22. It has worked out very well." "Ah, yes," said Valentine. George turned the 2 guineas over in his fob pocket. "The wedding can be in September, early September, I had thought, so that you can enjoy a full honeymoon before returning to Cambridge. I shall wish you to complete your studies at Cambridge. Another year will do that, by which time John Trevanion has agreed to leave Carehays Castle. You can then enter into residence without the encumbrance of an older brother-in-law." "Ah, yes," said Valentine. "The matter of your mother-in-law I will leave to your own good sense. Personally, she strikes me as a sour creature. I suppose she is a disappointed woman, widowed too young. She is reticent, distant, self-contained, but I do not think she will be a serious obstacle to your convenience. If she were to be that, I believe you could persuade her to leave." "Cuby is very attached to her family," observed Valentine. "True, but once married, you will be the master of the house. As I say, I cannot see, if you play your cards right, that you need be concerned about Mrs. Bettersworth." "Ah," said Valentine. George was becoming a little more restive at this lack of response, but he said no more for the moment. Eventually, Valentine said, "I hear you had a card party while I was at college." George grunted. It was a very sore spot. The Trevanians came. It was then that I made final arrangements for the engagement announcement and the wedding date. Since then, when you did not arrive in time, I have had to write postponing the date of the engagement party." Valentine said suddenly, "Do you think QB is happy about it?" "Happy? What do you suppose? Women are always glad to marry, and she is doing very fine for herself. For as long as she lives, she will be the chatelaine of Cairhays. She is extravagantly proud of her ancestry and of this castle. Wed to a handsome and well-circumstanced young man, she will be realizing her dearest dreams." "As a point of interest, Father, how well-circumstanced would that be?" George picked up the decanter and poured himself another half-glass. He didn't offer his son any more. "Well enough. I should see that you have an adequate allowance." "I have heard, sir, that you would expect me to supervise your new interests in the china clay industry." "Who told you that?" "I forget. Did you not tell me yourself?" "Certainly not." "Well, you would not wish, I assume, to become nothing more than a country gentleman at 21. Any responsibilities you undertook for me in eastern and southeastern Cornwall would be paid for in a way that would supplement your normal income. You could be more affluent or less affluent according to your personal choice."